Good afternoon, dear friends, allies, scholars, and representatives of nations that are oppressed and occupied. It is my profound honor to join you all today for the first international conference on independent Circassia to reignite our shared pursuit of independence, dignity, and justice. I extend my heartfelt thanks to our hosts and organizers, the Council of United Circassia, Chairman Mr. Kenan Kaplan, and General Secretary Mustafa Canbek for hosting this platform where we can unite in our common cause to resist the imperialistic grip of the Russian and Chinese empires. Our people, our just causes, and our struggle to regain our independence are very much aligned. Both the people of Circassia and my homeland, East Turkestan, have known the horrors of Russian imperialism's treachery and oppression. The Circassian people and the East Turkestani people have faced systematic genocide, occupation, and ethnic cleansing at the hands of racist, degenerate, and criminal imperialist forces. All of this happened because of the loss of our independent states due to Russian and Chinese imperialist expansion. The Tsarist Russian Empire that committed genocide against the 12 tribes of Circassia from the 1820s to the 1870s, and which built programs for the Jews in the 1880s, is the same Tsarist Russian Empire that occupied Central Asia and provided logistical support for the Manchu Qing Empire to conquer and subjugate East Turkestan. The Tsarist Russian Empire transformed into the Soviet Russian Empire, building an archipelago of gulags for dissidents and nations and peoples of faith from the 1920s onwards. It was that Soviet Russian Empire that once again helped the new Chinese Empire to invade, occupy, and subjugate East Turkestan once more. And that same Russian Empire transformed into the Empire of the Russian Federation, which now commits war crimes, including genocide in Ukraine. It's the same Russian Empire with a slightly different name that continues to occupy and subjugate Circassia, the nations of the Caucasus, and the countless other historically free and independent nations and peoples. A tiger may change its name, but a tiger cannot change its stripes. The empire of the Russian Federation's ongoing genocide, crimes, and other atrocities committed in Ukraine, its suppression of the people from the Caucasus, from Circassia to the Caucasus to Siberia and the shores of the Pacific, are all rooted in Russian imperialism. My friends, let me state it clearly and empathetically. We are facing the same enemy, and that is the imperialism being driven by the modern Russian and Chinese empires. Russia's shared vision and practice of imperialism and its desire to expand and conquer other nations is what has united Russia with another equally, if not worse, imperialist force, that being China. Like the historic and contemporary Russian Empire, the contemporary Chinese Empire, known as the so-called People's Republic of China, continues to wage genocide and other crimes against humanity in occupied East Turkestan, Tibet, Southern Mongolia, Manchuria, and it is aggressively working to expand its imperialistic borders into Central Asia, South Asia, and the Indo-Pacific region. For centuries, the Chinese imperialists, under various names and titles, like that of the Russian imperialists, have continuously sought to occupy and ravage East Turkestan, to exterminate the native Uyghur and other Turkic peoples, and to turn East Turkestan into an eternal Chinese colony. The Russian imperialists have historically and continuously worked with the Chinese imperialists in their schemes. In late 1949, the current Chinese People's Empire's so-called People's Liberation Army overthrew our beloved Second East Turkestan Republic after cutting a deal with the Russian Soviet imperialists under Stalin. Our entire government and military leadership, including one of my own predecessors, President Ahmedjan Qasimi, was assassinated by the illegitimate Soviet Russian Empire. To cover up the mass murder, the Soviets manufactured a lie, saying that our leaders had died in a so-called plane crash. This false Russian imperialist disinformation is still repeated by many. The truth is that they were executed almost certainly on the direct orders of Joseph Stalin himself at the official request of Mao Zedong. The East Turkestani people will never forgive Russian imperialists for this betrayal, nor will we forget it, no matter how many times the Russian Empire changes its name. We seek to see the Chinese Empire crushed and decolonized into smaller, free, and independent nations, and we will not rest until the Russian Empire is too decolonized as well. Today, in Chinese-occupied East Turkestan, Uyghurs and other Turkic peoples face genocide as a result of the evils of Russian imperialism. Millions of our people have been fed through a system of concentration camps, prisons, and labor camps, and millions have entered these facilities. Who have entered these facilities have disappeared. Though few dare to speak it, we believe our people are being systematically exterminated. We believe that the Chinese Empire's 21st century Holocaust of Uyghurs is being hidden through means such as alkaline hydrolysis or liquid cremation. The sterilization efforts are also underway as birth rates amongst Uyghurs and other Turkic peoples have plummeted. Nearly 900,000 Uyghur and other Turkic children have been forcibly abducted from their families by the Chinese imperialist forces, just like the tens of thousands of Ukrainian children who were abducted by the Russian imperialists. Uyghur wives, daughters, and mothers are being married or remarried off to Han Chinese colonists after their husbands have been sent to the camps and prisons. This Chinese imperialist regime has created, in effect, a system of state-sanctioned rape in my homeland of East Turkestan. For oppressed and occupied nations like ours, like East Turkestan, like Circassia, like Tatarstan, like Chechnya, and countless others suffering genocide, oppression, and enslavement, there is only one solution to obtain justice and ensure our future existence, and that is to defeat the Russian and Chinese imperialists and to restore the complete national independence and sovereignty, freedom, and dignity of our nations. I want to use this opportunity to reiterate that we, the East Turkestani people, and the East Turkestan government in exile, as a nation suffering under Chinese imperialism and occupation, fully support the Circassian people and all nations suffering under Russian and Chinese imperialism, their legitimate struggle to restore their rightful independence. We again call on governments, organizations, and institutions across the world to recognize the Chinese Empire's ongoing Uyghur genocide, as well as the Russian Empire's Circassian genocide, and the ongoing genocide and crimes against humanity in Ukraine. I want to conclude by calling on the nations of the free world, the nations that respect sovereignty, value human life, and uphold dignity, to support the oppressed and occupied nations under the Chinese and Russian Empire. The first step towards this is by officially recognizing the occupied nations and people suffering under the contemporary Russian and Chinese empires. Lastly, I want to state that we look forward to working with all of the occupied nations. Together, we can resist against Russian and Chinese imperialism and regain our rightful freedom and independence. Thank you.